What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday as we get into the weekend. Exciting week 12 kickoff, the action with the Bills and the Texans. Let's talk about this game. All right, let's get it fired up as we get more and more people into the chat. I will talk about what we have going on tonight. And got to be honest with you guys, I haven't really done much to discuss here. So we are going to break this down as we go, and we'll get into some of the stuff that I have been looking into throughout the week. And I know we're getting close to kickoff, 2 hours away, but what better way than to start this tailgate off in the right direction? So let's fire it up. If you guys are watching on X or on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button and be sure to subscribe down below. And let's get this thing brewing. All right. Let's see who we got in the chat. I will pull this up so you guys can see on your own end. But if you can, drop me a comment. Let me know who's all tuning in. And I will send this out over in the Discord so you guys can all stop by. But say what's up. Who do we have in the chat? 24 people watching. We'll wait till more people get in live. And then we'll break down the Bills-Texans game, what we have going on here in that direction. Okay. Kind of excited about this one a little bit because I think we have some sneaky action tonight. And I did mention this over in the Discord. This is either going to be, in my opinion, a boom or bust game here for props. Okay, so what I mean by that is we're going to get a hell of a lot of action from a prop perspective, or it's going to be kind of one of those duds that we've seen here in some primetime spots, where we get maybe a 13-7, 13-10 kind of game, 13-16 maybe. Okay, but let's look into it. Let's talk about it, and I will pull up what we have going on in Outlier, but I need some more thumbs up. So if you guys are watching over on YouTube, hit that hype button, put those thumbs up, whatever you got to do here. That is a new feature here on YouTube. If you hit the hype button, that does help us out to kind of spread the word about the channel. But we're going to be talking about this game for probably the next hour or so. And if you guys want to kick it with some college basketball, we'll whip something together. NBA, you guys know what it is. It's a graveyard unless you're playing some lotteries. I think that's kind of why I stay away from it until we get fully into basketball season. And then I will start dabbling as we gear up and ramp up for the postseason. But let's get into it. I do want to talk about who's popping in, and I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Avery, what's happening? Rich in the house. Bong Tokes is back. Wants to know if we get a win out of Houston. We'll talk about it. And the all-time stats in Houston for Josh Allen. Yes, I have heard of that. Feel free to drop a comment with some of those data points, so I don't have to pull it up. I can just kind of jump over to a comment, and it will be easier, okay? A. Gaddis in the house. What's up, man? Houston 10.5 or Bills -2.5 there, okay? And Josh Allen, SS Fishing, he's been on a hot streak running the football. We'll see if we get that to continue, okay? JR, what's up, man? What's up? Kyler. He's actually here. He's arrived. Thank you for tuning in. And I got to tell you guys, I know a lot of you guys may be new to the channel, but it's pretty fun to look back and reflect on what we've had going on here. This has been pretty much, I think, 2+ years running here live and talking about it and just kicking it with the sports action that we get daily. And I got don't change your guys' usernames because I pretty much have them all memorized. And I do remember who's been the day ones from the get-go. Okay, so when we do blow this thing up and we get to where we're going to, I will remember you guys for the long haul. So if you guys ever need anything, we're not there yet, but obviously feel free. And let's get this one going. Okay, so that's kind of where we're looking to turn this into the right kind of platform here, because there is a lot of fun stuff we have to do. I want to be doing. Trust me, I love that kind of giving back and all that good stuff. But we got to kind of get there first, right? So this is what we're looking at right now. We'll talk Bills, Texans. I am going to pull this up on Outlier, and guys. As you tune in, hit that like button, subscribe, join us. Okay, TBM Sports. You probably have no idea who this guy is or what we're talking about, but we'll get you through the season, okay, and hopefully in a profitable direction, okay, and that's kind of where you're at, right? I think a lot of people kind of lose track of the idea. These are completely free picks, okay, and this is a lot of work I put in, and there's not a lot of people who can grind out a full 365-day calendar year and still stay maybe not profitable, but we'll keep you in the game and make some money along the way. That's kind of the goal here. And yeah, we're in this together, right? We're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, but games like this tonight, this is the one that we target, right? There are a lot of deficiencies. And yes, I know, trust me, I have a huge play in college basketball night. Not going to share it because it's something that I can't take ownership for personally, but I am going to own the pick. I will get into that a little bit later on. If you guys are sticking around, I will kind of tease what college basketball I have going on before that 7 o'clock hour. But I do want to talk college football a little bit, NFL. We'll kick it here and talk some ball, okay? And guys, feel free. I want to know, we'll get this kind of poll running before we get going into the NFL. Who do you have bringing it home, right? Who do you have bringing it home? I'm getting together my futures kind of lottery tickets, parlays for some postseason accolades and championships, okay? College football, Super Bowl, leave your best bet down below for that futures. Who's going to win those and bring home the hardware? And we're going to kind of change it up. Sorry, I booted myself. Let me share my screen real quick. Kind of change it up a little bit, okay? We're gonna make this one kind of about you guys here, and shout out to anybody who's out there grinding it in the world of crypto. It's kind of a little bit of a different direction, but that's been kind of my second love here outside of sports betting for a while. Okay, so we got some more people trickling in. Gotta love it. Preston in the house. Travis, as always, one of the usuals. Kyler, I got you. Jayhar, always in the house. Bong Tokes. Also, Top FMF in here. Okay. Maybe the first time for that name. I would remember that one, but welcome to the channel, brother. D'Angelo, what's going on? Half Acre. Love the name. Want to know what it's about? Leave a comment. Let me know what that's all about. That seems like it has a pretty cool story behind it. Okay, let's talk some ball. All right, so the Bills in this game, laying 5.5. All right, let's talk about that opening spot. Boy, we're starting to trickle in here. That's what I like to see. Luis, Brett Simons in the house, Sav Swartz. We got a lot of people, a lot of familiar faces. That's what we want to see here as we kind of ramp it up towards kickoff. Yeah, this is one where we have a lot of movement. 2.5 up to 5.5. A lot of that is kind of misleading. That's the CJ Stroud inactiveness. Okay, this number was opened, in my opinion, before we got the final word. So kind of the books hedging their position, want to stay competitive. They want to get that number out there as soon as possible to start getting that money flowing in. And when you do have these early possibilities, these question marks with inactives, you got to understand something. Sports books don't care what the number is. They do not care. They just want money even on both sides. And if they do get kind of like one of those kind of unicorns where they kind of trick the public and they have everybody thinking that's the right number, right? It's going to be -3. And then you see the decision by like 20 plus points. That's why we do this. That's why we do this. That's why we put in the hours. We grind it out. Look at the numbers. You watch every game, people come down and they ask, why are you watching football? You go to work. Why are you watching football 11:45 at night? Why are you watching West Coast football? Why are you staying up watching Hawaii? That's the work. That's the work you have to put in. There are no plays off. Condensed versions on YouTube of NFL games are very much a gift as well. I do highly recommend watching a lot of condensed tape, especially with the games. I think that if you are just kind of rolling with red zone and they don't tell the whole story, you want to know what teams are doing when it all matters, right? But let's talk about this game. I'm kind of on one tonight, fired up. Had some good news today, some bad news as well, but some good news. And that's kind of got me going here into this Thursday. And I'm fired up for the weekend, right? It's been a long work week. I'm sure we're all in the same boat. Kind of when you hit that Friday and you already put in your hours, it is what it is. But let's talk Bills Texans. Okay. Total set at 44.5. Like I said, this has had a lot of action, 2.5 down to 5.5, as you do see the Bills laying a pretty whopping number here. Okay. Some inactives, question marks, injuries, all that good stuff. Pretty much if we talk about that in a meaningful manner, yes, they do have Stroud out for the Texans, but I do think that Dalton Kincaid, if we saw what kind of Tupac Shakur was all about last week for the Bills, Did not get it done for me. Okay, did not get it done for me. That was one of the only stones unturned in a lot of lotteries that we had out there. Okay, and I think that's something that as we look into tonight, we have to kind of take notice of it, right? And we're going to talk some defense, some schematic stuff that will kind of get us through as well. But I also think that when we talk about this game, the big thing for me in storyline is, you guys mentioned it, a little bit of Josh Allen, milestones. That stuff matters. Prime time, it does get into these guys' heads. Yes, they know that, hey, we're not going to let it, outside noise, all this rubbish. These guys want to get that bullshit out of the way as fast as possible. All right. When it gets down to playoff contention, the run, they don't want to be dealing with any kind of outside noise distractions. So when it comes down to these midseason records, career bests, stuff like that, accolades that don't result into winning trophies, trust me, I played, I know what it's all about, right? You want to break those records as soon as possible in the season. You don't want to be volleying or jockeying for a triple crown in baseball with 3 games left to go, and you're trying to make position within a playoff seeding. Okay, that's kind of where I stand on that. So yeah, we're talking Josh Allen, a little props from rushing the football. Okay, and as we do look at the Texans here, we're gonna get into this game as we do look at some of the matchups here that I do think are relevant. If you see on the top right of your screen, you can see kind of what we're faced with, right? Texans best defense, okay, going against arguably a top 5 offense there that we do have. One thing that kind of is interesting for me, the red zone efficiency for the Bills is 5th. And if we remember last season and how deficient Josh Allen was turning over the football in the red zone, and also last week, we saw kind of glimpses of what he's capable of doing, coughing the football off, okay? And that's something where I think this is a very misleading statistic. So when I do look at statistics for the full season, like this is showing right now, 2025, I like to break it down into quarters, okay? Don't get caught up into this race, right? For example, college football is a little bit different because there is a lot of variance between the best team and the worst team in college football. NFL, not so much. But as we get closer to the playoffs for college, it does matter because there's not that much of a gap between team 1 and team 12, okay? So what I'm trying to get into here is, don't use some of these metrics and rankings and stats, that we're taking the aggregate and mean from weeks 1 through 5 and applying it to week 12 in the NFL. There's going to be a lot of kind of inaccuracies within those stats. So when you do see the Bills 4th in red zone, 5th in red zone efficiency, that's very misleading because of the fact that if you look over the last 2-3 games, that's not been the case, okay? So there's a really strong argument that I could make for the under here tonight, primetime under. Personally, I have this game in the low 40s, and that's exactly where we're going to split the 40 and 50 and put the number right damn in the middle, 45 points between the Texans and the Bills, okay? I do think that is going to play a role. Yes, Davis Mills will be at the helm for the Houston Texans. I do have a best bet, and it will feature Davis Mills. So as we get down to the end of this video, we talk best bets. That one will be firmly in the mix here for my card, okay? It's something I do love quite a bit, okay? But I do think this is going to be an interesting matchup, and my matchup of the night is going to be James Cook, okay? James Cook, arguably the best. I would say maybe Buffalo might be the most efficient team running the football in the NFL. I want to see how they stack up against possibly the best defensive efficiency team in the NFL behind the Houston Texans. Okay, that's my matchup. That is kind of the end-all be-all when it comes down to it. I don't like Josh Allen right now. I know that he had a great kind of 75, I'd say the back 3 quarters of the game last week. All right, as the Bills took down the Bills took down the Bucks. But as we do look at that, we're talking about a guy that had 2 turnovers when it mattered, okay? Made some bad decisions in the pocket as well in that first maybe quarter to third of that football game, okay? Don't take that lightly. Josh Allen is one of those players that I don't look for reasons to bet against. He's more so going to be always an over candidate for me, okay? But I think this is a huge game for the Bills, okay? And I think that the reason why you have to look at it a little bit deeper, Bills are 7-3 in AFC. They want to get that 1 seed, right? They want to be playing in snow deep into the playoffs. Texans are 5-5, kind of knocking at that door. They're not I don't want to say they're underperforming because they've had to deal with a lot of injuries. Okay. I think they're actually overperforming if we're going to kind of call it what it is. So I'm not ready to, put the Texans in that category, such as the Cleveland Browns or even the Baltimore Ravens, right? I probably would put them in the Ravens category, right? Big preseason expectations, injuries at the quarterback position, injuries across the board. And that's kind of where they're at today. So very similar comparison. I probably would have the Texans and Ravens neck to neck. And honestly, it kind of pains me to say it, but the way that the Ravens have been playing defense, I probably would actually give the edge to the Texans. I probably have the Texans actually higher in my power rankings, if we're being quite honest with ourselves. And it does pain me to say, because I do have some futures money with the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. One thing I also do want to talk about is Nick Chubb. He's going to be kind of taking a back seat a little bit. Woody Marks. Let's talk about him a little bit because I think that's going to be something where he is now the running back one for the Texans. Okay. He's going to have a big game, in my opinion. All right. He's going to have a big game. I think that he's going to be able to do some work out of the backfield as well. And as you do look at Davis Mills going against this Buffalo front, yes, he will be at home, but yes, he will be under pressure. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's CJ Stroud, doesn't matter if it's Davis Mills. There's going to be a lot of pressure coming up, and it's going to be coming from directions where you don't have much time to figure out what you're going to do with the football. Okay. So Davis Mills, a little less mobile. I do kind of like him running the football tonight, which is going to be a shocking number. We'll look at that a little bit later because you guys know I love me some quarterback running yards. Okay. But I do like me some Woody Marks as well. Primary back. Okay. He's getting the lion's share of the carries. And as we do look at Woody Marks, he also can do some work out of the backfield like I talked about. Okay. And we're going to get deeper into that Houston team because there are some people that I do want to target as well. Okay. One thing that I do think that is going to be quite apparent tonight is Houston's getting a lot of respect here against Buffalo, right? This isn't like your 11-point spread that we saw last week, 8 points, nothing like that in the week prior. Okay. This is kind of an interesting spot. And I know it's prime time. It kind of correlates with the under, but you're talking about a Buffalo team that was double digits against Miami and lost. Okay. Maybe they got that one out of the way, but I'm not ready to anoint the Buffalo Bills the crown of the AFC. Not yet. Okay. So I am kind of maybe on a little bit of an island when it comes to that. I ultimately think that Kansas City gets their stuff figured out. All things considered, they're not that much farther behind or ahead of a lot of teams in the AFC either. But in a playoff, a big-time game, I'm rolling with Patty and Andy Reid and the Chiefs, okay? But, yeah, so basically when we come down to the best bets, there are a couple that I do like quite a bit. Told you guys I do have a pretty strong play on the under. I do favor the under when we talk about the 44.5 in this game. You can find 45s and a halves out there as well, but that's kind of where I stack up. Let's talk some player props, and if you guys have anything as we get going, please feel free to light up those comments so I can kind of have some little bit of some ammo to keep this discussion going, right? It's kind of hard just ranting, but I do think that this is something where even with CJ Stroud at the helm, what do you guys think this number would have been, right? I don't think that the number gets that much of a bump with CJ Stroud in or out, okay? Kind of why I like the under as well. Something about the Bills, as good as a brand name as they are, okay, they have given up a lion's share of carries on the ground and rushes on the ground. The Dolphins shredded them. Tua shredded them. I don't think it really quite frankly matters, okay? I think that they were very vulnerable defensively, and the way that Houston plays defense, that's something that we can rely on. We can hang our hats on that. And that being said, that creates a lot more attrition to that Bills defense, right? If the offense is coming off the field quite a bit, how much steam is that Buffalo defense going to have here on the road? Okay, they're not playing in table smashing city of Buffalo anymore. This is going to be one in a dome. It's going to be down in Texas, a little travel spot. Okay, but I do think the Texans defense ultimately plays well in this spot. So I do like the full game going under. That will be a bet that I will be making. And I kind of have a weird inclination to side with the dog. It does correlate. I don't think Buffalo will score more than 3 touchdowns. We'll just say that. You guys can use that material as you want it. I kind of do lean on the side of Houston as well, okay? And I think it's going to be the back end of Houston. I think it's going to be the front 7, the box. They're all going to be playing well. I do like Houston's defense quite a bit tonight, going against this Bills team that is missing Kincaid, right? We saw Shakir kind of be limited last week. And a lot of people are saying, oh, James Cook going against a vaulted front for the Houston Texans. He's not going to be able to do much. I kind of go contrary, and I think he's going to be all that they can do, okay? I think that's going to be very much limited to them trying to run the football, and that's another reason why I like this clock just to be bled out. So I will have an official play with the under here in this game. I am on the under, okay, full disclosure, and that's kind of where I stack up from a side and total perspective, okay? So I will be making a move here on the under 45.5 if you can find it out in the market, okay? But I do want to talk about something here as we get into some touchdown scores. We'll just go right down the board and kind of get into it, okay? This is how I see it playing out, right? The Houston backfield, I wouldn't touch it. There's too much of a coin flip situation going on. Is it going to be Woody Marks? Is it going to be Nick Chubb around the goal line? Time will tell. I'm not ready to get involved with that personally, okay? But I do think that we do have some kind of an edge looking at Woody Marks, plus 115, a lot of respect there. I'm going to stay away from it personally. That's just not enough value for me. I do think that one of him and or Chubb find their way into the end zone. A couple other guys I like for touchdown scores. Christian Kirk, 7-1. I don't mind that whatsoever. Okay, if you think that, and like I said, guys, I do lend towards the under, so I'm not going balls to the wall betting touchdowns here. So these are going to be some cherry-picked targets that I do think that are very noteworthy. All right, Josh Allen, basically have to pick between him and or James Cook to find the end zone. Minus 120 for Allen versus what we have going on within James Cook. You're talking about minus 105 versus minus 120. Personally, I think that's way too much value for James Cook, if we're being honest with ourselves. Anytime you get him close to a pick 'em, I know that he's only had 2 scores in his last 6 games, but still scoring 6 of his last 10, at least 1 touchdown. Gotta love you some James Cook here, and there's some extreme value if you do take James Cook 2 touchdowns or more. But as we do look at this a little bit from a running the football metric here, touchdowns against by this Houston defense, they're 9th or 3rd in the NFL, allowing less than 2 touchdowns per game. And that number does get a little bit better towards the running back position, as we do see that basically almost middle of the pack, 13th in touchdowns allowed to the running backs. So I do foresee 1 touchdown coming out for the Buffalo backfield, okay? So like I said, guys, this is a very slim number. It's going to be a very chalky bet as well. Everybody and their brother is going to be betting Josh Allen or James Cook anytime touchdown, just being honest. So kind of lets me shy away from it, okay? And as we get going here, touchdown-wise, one guy that is kind of an outlier here that I do think has some value, right? This is kind of a crazy number, but Davis Mills, 12-1 to get in there with a sneak. A lot of value there. I think that you can make the conversation happen. Xavier Hutchinson, only 2 grabs in his last 10. Still some 800, plus 800 number there within that. Not going to dive down the rabbit hole of Josh Palmer, scoreless, and also Dawson Knox, plus 340 with Kincaid out, does open up the door for that conversation, in my opinion. Okay. But this is where it gets kind of interesting, guys. And it's kind of hard to find this in places, but I do want to talk about some stuff outside of touchdowns. Like I said, those are pretty much the only things I am looking into. I think my value pick for the night would be Christian Kirk to score. My extreme value would be taking Davis Mills, which is not going to happen, but still that's extreme value. I do think that there is an avenue. Ty Johnson, 7-1. I don't mind that whatsoever. Okay. He's going to get some balls out of the backfield. Ty Johnson at 7-1. He's had 2 scores in his last 3 games. I don't mind it, but he is going against that Houston front, so keep that in mind. But that is kind of another home run play in the touchdown department. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns. There's nobody I like for 2 touchdowns. Shakir is going to be a fade for me in this spot, personally, okay? As we do look at this Houston defense, right? 3rd in touchdowns allowed, like we talked about, and it gets even better. Wide receivers, that secondary versus that running back position, they do give up a little bit more so touchdowns on the ground when they do it. So keep that in mind, okay? Passing, let's look at the 2 throwers here. Not going to play passing touchdowns. If you guys know me, I am not a big fan of passing yards either. Unless there's something glaringly that does stand out to me, I'm going to stay away from that, okay? And that's just kind of how I play props a lot. I don't like to bet passing yards for quarterbacks. There's just a lot. I think it's one of the worst ways to kind of dabble in the prop market personally, okay? And guys, we got 63 people watching live. If you can, hype this video up, put those thumbs up, do what you got to do. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. And let's talk my best bet for the day, okay? And this is my best bet. It's going to be Davis Mills, okay? And I do think this is one that I think that does ultimately get home. 32.5. And even if you wanted to find it plus money, 33.5, I don't mind that whatsoever. But 32.5, he's had over 40 passing attempts in his last 2 games, okay? This is probably my favorite bet of the day, taking Davis Mills over 32.5 at minus 118, okay? That it will be a bet that I am making. This is one that I do know that does kind of not correlate with the under, but I think that there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. There's going to be a lot of passing plays, and kind of what we're looking at within, like I talked about with the Texans playing good defense, there's going to be a lot of possessions, I think, for the Texans. Not necessarily a lot of first downs, but a lot of possessions. So we will be going Davis Mills over 32.5 passing attempts at minus 118. That's one that I do want to make. That will be injury dependent too, okay? So keep that in mind. As long as he doesn't get hurt, I think he flies under this, making his 3rd straight start where he came into action against Denver. Actually, when did CJ get hurt? Yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be his 3rd actual start, okay? So he had 30, I think, in mop-up duty coming in facing Denver. Yeah, he did. That was where he came in the middle of that game, and he still had 30 passing attempts, okay, in a game where there's only 33 points. And then the next 2 consecutive starts, 45 and 41, okay? That's my favorite bet of the day from a prop perspective, Davis Mills over his passing attempts, all right? I don't like that as much for Josh Allen, okay, but if we're going to talk Josh Allen, I don't mind the passing interceptions for Josh Allen going against Houston. Look at his numbers the last 7 games, okay? Last 7 games, put this into perspective. He's had 7 interceptions over the course of his last 7 games, okay? And you're going to give me plus money going against arguably the best secondary in the NFL, as they have the number 1 in the NFL with interceptions forced, averaging 1 per game. 3rd in the NFL, I should say. I think this is a very strong bet at plus 110. Josh Allen to throw an interception, okay? So that will be not necessarily a best bet, but I do think that one is going to be one that will find my way into some of my parlays in for this evening, okay? Outside of the passing, that's pretty much all I have. I do want to take some time here to kind of shout out you guys and what you've been saying here in the chat, okay? Dalton, over 39. Okay, not sure what you mean by that. Jahar, I'm not sure what you mean by that, because are you talking about Andy Dalton? Or are you talking about Dalton Kincaid? Because I'm pretty sure Kincaid is out of this game. I may be wrong. He may be like a late active, but he is out. So if you're talking about Dalton Kincaid, he is out of this game. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what you mean by that. So apologies. Bong Tokes, 30 rush yards for Josh Allen. I do not mind that whatsoever. I don't mind the 20 for Chubb. 6 receptions for Nico. We'll talk about that right now. We're going to hit receiving yards. James Cook, 15 plus receiving yards. I like that one a lot, Joseph. I think you're in the right direction there. John with a parlay Allen 25 rush anytime. Cook 54. Marks 54. Yeah, maybe just a little bit too greedy with the touchdowns. That could hit, though. I mean, it looks good on paper, but you know how parlays go. There's not too much wiggle room when you go multi-touchdown in the same game. Power and grace. I like Allen 29.5 rushing. Texans D, no joke. That's the only thing that does scare me away from that. He's going to have some running lanes, but I do think that Allen has a very strong ability to. He's going to have to do something on the ground. Okay, we'll get into that rushing here when we get into the rushing. Okay, I do feel you on this. Yeah, and that's what I talked about. I think this is going to be a lot of boom or bust tonight. It's either going to be a really good statistical game or it's going to be absolutely dog crap. Jeffrey R., thanks, man. I do appreciate you becoming a member. We're going to have some things kind of getting away from that in the future, but for the time being, that's the best way to give back outside of hitting up the the description. There's basically a tip jar there, but I do appreciate the support from all my channel members. I see a lot of you guys in the chat that are channel members, and it does not, we had over 30 channel members at one point, and that really does mean a lot because I know that, these are free picks, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. And when you guys recognize that, it does, it's kind of feel good both ways. I think it's a great thing. John Makeley, 3-team teaser, Purdue 6.5, Bills and under 54.5. That probably pays a little bit over 1 plus 100, if I'm not mistaken. Don't mind it. It seems a little risky, but it looks good on paper, right? It's a parlay. Plus 4.5 Bills. Okay, that might pay a little bit more. Yeah, it is his third start. SS, I don't mind that whatsoever, man. I really don't. I think that Will Anderson could get us a sack tonight. And Allen has that, he's hard to bring down, but he does hang out in the pocket a little bit too long. Avery, I will do something at the end talking about my recap and the same game parlay. If I do make one, I will post it over on the Discord. Schultz, okay. Yeah, Dalton Schultz, gotcha. Yeah, I figured that's kind of what you were getting into. Yeah, you gotta love those ones, John. DirecTV called me back. Every 5 minutes, DirecTV is calling me, wants me to reactivate my DirecTV after I switched to I tell them it's football season. I switched to Fubo. Fairbarn, 6.5. I don't mind that one whatsoever. Lots of field goals. I do agree. Christian Kirk over 1.5. Love it, love it, love it. I think he's going to have a nice game tonight. Big night for Marks. Yeah, I can get down with that, Fluffy. Yeah, but that's where we want him, Meals. We want him throwing the ball. If you do like Allen to run, we want him to be throwing more because if the Texans, they play really good secondary defense and defense in the secondary, and it's going to create a lot of running lanes. They will have to obviously spy him, and they do have the personnel to do it, but we want him dropping back because that's when he's most deadly. It's not so much design runs for Josh Allen if we are trying to get some rushing yards for him. Okay. Let's talk some receiving. Get back into Outlier. Okay. I do think Woody Marks gets some on the ground, 9.5. I think that is very strong. Last game out, he had 7 and 18 respectively. But before basically the Chubbs kind of, I guess you'd say, his attrition kicking in, Okay. He can light up the receiving yard standpoint, right? He's at over 40, basically in 3 games, 37 will round up. But against the running back position, the Bills do pretty well. Okay. So not one that I am fully in love with, just full disclosure. Okay. Christian Kirk, though, is one that is interesting. Okay. And I do got to talk to you guys about him, because right now you can find his best number, 14.5 receiving yards for Christian Kirk, 3 and 6 respectively. Okay, he is back, kind of nursing back to health a little bit. But the receptions, over 1.5 at -140. I think that's a very strong parlay builder, okay? It's very strong footing if you want to get one off the ground. -140 by itself, don't really love it. Woody, who would win this game straight up? I do not have a play on the side. If anything, I'm on the under, so I do lend towards the Texans and the points. Kind of does correlate a little bit. Don't really want to lay the points and take an under. But I think this one will be potentially a 1-score game. A lot of field goals, lower scoring. That's just how I see it playing out. Really defensive game. But I'm not really in love with either side. My play is on the under 44.5. If you can find a 45 out there with responsible juice, that's kind of where I would lend towards in that conversation. Okay. Xavier Hutchinson, he's been kind of a darling this year. You can get 120 on DraftKings. That's just an outstanding number. Okay. Outstanding number for Xavier Hutchinson, -120. I think that one is very strong. A couple things, though, to note. In 10 of his last 12 games, he has eclipsed that 14.5 receiving mark. So it might just take one catch. All right. I do like the Xavier Hutchinson kind of targets, as well, as he's had 5 and 5 in 2 of the 3 games with Davis in the quarterback position. And I'm not sure, you guys might have to look this one up for me, but he may have been inactive against Jacksonville. Okay. The Knox 2.5 receptions. Yeah. It's just a check down thing. People are looking in the shorter plays from the tight end. And honestly, as you get closer to kickoff, everything's going to probably move 5 cents of juice anyways, just closer to kickoff that you get to. So Jay Har was talking about Dalton Schultz within receiving yards. 37.5. He's eclipsed this in 3 straight games, 77, 53, and 51. So kind of a low number for him. Okay, kind of a low number for him against a tight end position. Kind of one thing I want to stay away from, because the Bills do play the tight end number 1 in the NFL in allowing receiving yards to the tight end position. I kind of gravitate towards receptions more so than yards when it comes to tight ends as well. Okay. I did talk about Ty Johnson receiving yards. Okay. With Samuel out, he does get some more work. Ray Davis and Ty Johnson will also be doing the lion's share within kickoff return, like that note says. But he had 61 receiving yards against Tampa Bay. Don't foresee that kind of workload, but still, even in a lighter share, 12 and 24, Miami and Kansas City, all we need 7. Okay, so I do like Ty Johnson. Okay, I like that one quite a bit. You got to have to make up your mind if you do like the receiving yards or the receptions better. Okay. I'm going to stay away from Khalil Shakir in this game. I do like Xavier Hutchinson. Dawson Knox. Let's look at some grabs here. Okay. Receiving yards over 4.5. That is at a -1100. Why would they even offer that? -110 for 26.5. Yeah, this is just too much on the bubble for me. I just don't think we have an edge in this. It probably will hit. I just don't think we have an edge. So that's a stay away. If you look at his receptions, guys, he's, this one's kind of right on the money too. I'm not going to risk it. With Kincaid out, he only had 1 last week against Tampa Bay. So, it is something where the checkdowns are going to be very apparent. But it's just nothing that I'm rushing to the window to bet Dawson Knox. If anything, I like the value more within him scoring a touchdown with that one grab than trying to root for 3, if I'm just being honest. Okay. Receptions, I think the Woody Marks 2 receptions isn't too horrible. Kirk, I do love his 2 receptions, -140. Collins, Bong Tokes was talking about 5.5. He's hit that in 3 games, so maybe a little bit of magic going on there. 9 grabs against, but that's Tennessee, Jacksonville. A little bit different than that Houston secondary. Nothing that I'm really like jumping off the boat to target and to play against the Houston secondary. If anything, I would put it over 5 in a parlay builder if I was just targeting that. But that's one that's right on the money, okay, when it comes down to it. A couple other things receiving before we get into some of my bigger plays. Cade Stover, 1 grab. That's kind of a sneaky play. I could see that one playing out. But I do like the Ty Johnson quite a bit, +150 for 2 grabs. I think that one's a lot of value. Check what this is. 13.5 for Keon Coleman, longest reception. It's risky, but I don't mind it. I don't like the longest reception pretty much for anybody, to be honest. It's just too much variance. Joshua Palmer, yeah, there's just nothing there. Nothing there for me. As we look into some of the rushing stuff here, Liam, what's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Cheers. And I'm going to talk about some of the other things I have going on here. I did give out a couple bets. Shavers, very interesting in his last 2 games, right? This number, though, has climbed a lot, right? You got to almost have 20 yards, 19.5. I don't mind it, but the one thing I'll tell you is this is kind of why I would honestly look to Shavers more. 1.5, another great candidate at -140. It's just kind of, it's playing against that Houston secondary just really is not something I want to make money on personally, but I don't mind it. Davis Mills, his rushing. Ty Johnson, I like him over his receptions, but I also like his receiving yards as well. There's really nothing that makes me favor one more than the other. Just whatever you want to do, but I do like the Ty Johnson action going against Houston quite a bit. Davis Mills rushing the football. He's had 20 and 14 respectively. Okay. This is a low number. I don't mind this whatsoever. I think that honestly too, you can look into the longest rush for Davis Mills. 5.5 at -130 might be the better bet. He's averaging about 4.4 rushing yards per attempt. The last 2 games, though, and the reason why those are important was those are his last 2 starts. He's averaging 6.7 and 7, respectively. So that's why that number is set right at 5.5. Okay. So Davis Mills, longest rush or rushing yards. I almost favor that more than the Allen rushing. Allen touchdown, but Davis Mills rushing yards and attempts, I think, stacks up a little bit better. The James Cook rushing, kind of everybody's kind of darling here in the spot. I don't want anything to do with 74.5, 75.5, 76.5. Not against Houston, okay? There's plenty other bets out there to make. That's going to be one I'm staying away from. If anything, I would go, I favor the Woody Marks number a little bit better than that. Josh Allen, though, to get 30, I don't mind it. It's just if you guys look at his numbers, and I forecast this game a little bit closer to what we saw with Kansas City. He only had 19 rushes against Kansas City. Houston does have a propensity to give up more rushing yards to the quarterback versus the running backs. So that's something to keep in mind. But still, 31 and 40 respectively kind of is intriguing within Josh Allen going over 30. I'm not in love with it. Personally, I've been getting crushed within my parlays with the quarterback rushing yards attempts. We've been doing great. So that's something I probably would lend towards a little bit more. if you wanted to dabble. But he has not had 7 rushing attempts in the last 5 games. It's been pretty much 6 or nothing. And at minus 173, that's nothing that I'm willing to just kind of jump off the boat at head first. The Woody Marks over 15 rushes, 14.5 at minus 120. I kind of really do like that one a lot, personally. I think with Davis Mills, like I said, I do like Davis Mills. The passing attempts and the rushing attempts is right where it's at. But I would go longest rush for Davis Mills or rushing yards for Davis Mills, okay? Keeping it going. Let's look at some more rushes here. Nothing really rushing, receiving that I do like. The Nico Collins is usually somebody that you can get some value. Like there's some value. Like if Nico Collins has a good game, he's going over his yards. So if you do throw him into rush and receiving, it does give you some more value because you could always get the end around the screen. But if you look at his numbers this year, he has not had a rush at all in his last 10 games. Okay, 0 rushing. But when he does get a rush, it's about 8 yards. So essentially it's a way to bet like a low 60s receiving total, just with a little bit more of a cushion for a better price. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's look at this coming out for the sacks. Now, the only thing I don't like about playing the sacks here, like Will Anderson, like you guys were talking about, he's had a sack in 8 of his last 10, okay, is the fact that you have to be careful with your books. Some of them will count half sacks as 1. Some of them count a half sack as a sack. So over a plus half, if it's the wrong book, it's going to push it if he gets a half sack. Some of them will count that as a full sack. It just varies. But he has had a sack, a full sack in 5 straight games, okay? So, you know, Buffalo doesn't really give too many up, but I don't really, quite frankly, mind it. It's just nothing that I'm in love with, okay? And if we are going to talk anything that I do like, it will be in the form of not just the individual kickers, but I also think total made field goals going over 3.5, I think is very reputable. I think that the total field goal yards, 131 is what you need. So essentially you would need 44 yards, 344 yarders, or you need, 2 40s and 2 chip-ins, basically. So it's a cheaper way to bet 3 field goals. If you get 3 long field goals, it is going to be played in Houston, so it's a little bit better. I don't really mind the over 130.5 because I think that if we do get 4 field goals, we are going to get some length to them. I think that's going to be the case. So I don't really, quite frankly, mind that they're on DraftKings. Not in love with it. The total touchdowns. Ooh, that's a crazy bet. Total touchdown yards. Ugh. Basically, you could just get 1 big touchdown and just win that bet or lose it. The total touchdowns being at 4.5, that's tough. I probably would lean towards the under. If you get 5 touchdowns, that's 35 points. And then you get 3 field goals. So, I would probably go under that, but not in love with that either. I think we have a chance for a defensive touchdown as well. But like I talked about a little bit, if you were going to bet the kickers, I do think that Kaimi Fairbairn, you could go over 1.5. Minus 146. He's cashed just in 9 of his last 10. And we did hit a pretty big one. I think it was plus 290, taking his over 2.5 alternate. Okay, that's 2-1 basically. So if you do like the under, you like the kickers, you just don't like the red zone. Kaimi Fairbairn, over 2.5 made field goals at plus 194. Great value. He's cashed out in 3 of his last 4. It's great value. Okay, I wouldn't put the 2.5 in a parlay. I'd go down to the 1.5 at minus 150. Like I said, 90% of his last 10 games, he's had 2 field goals. So I do like that one quite a bit. In a game that I do think is going to be an underscript, that is a great bet as well. Okay. All right, guys, that's about it. That's the entire rundown. So if you guys have anything for me, I'll do a quick recap. Thanks again, Liam. I was going to say something to you. I haven't seen you in a while. So I was wondering what happened. Hopefully you got that figured out with your car. And I do appreciate the super chat. John, thank you, man. But yeah, so we're getting close to 7 o'clock. Do a quick recap, and then you guys tell me which bet you guys like the best, right? We're going to go under the total points here in this game, okay? And if you do shop around, you can find the under 45 at minus 114. Under 45.5 on Bet365 is out there, and that is a key number. So do not be scared of a little Bet365 under 45.5. Even 130 is under 46. So they do have a little bit better of odds over at Bet365 for that total. Okay. But across the board, it's not really that crazy. And, you know, even if you are building parlays, I would bet this. I just don't think this game's going to get into the 50s personally. Okay. So I like the under. Pick the number you're most confident in. There's really nothing that anybody could ever tell me or tell you guys. But I do think that the 45 is a stronger key number than 44.5. So I'll lay another 4 cents to take that at minus 114. Okay. So that is my official best bet, going under 45 at minus 114. Also, I do have a bet where I did make Davis Mills within his passing attempts. Okay. Davis Mills passing attempts. As long as he doesn't get hurt, this one's going to cash. Over 32.5, minus 118. That will be my second official bet. And then we'll go down the list a little bit as I get into, I'll show you guys as I go. Ty Johnson. And I do have 2 leans receiving wise that we'll get into, but Ty Johnson over 6.5, minus 120. Or you could take it, pick your fancy. Receptions over 1.5 is plus 150. So if you want to find some more value, take the over 1.5. If you just want to play the number, right? 6.5 yards available on Hard Rock is extreme value, minus 120. Okay, so that will be my next best bet. That's why we use Outlier, guys. Do not pay more money for worse bets. 6.5 from 120, 9.5 for 110. It's a no-brainer. Okay, that's why we use Hard Rock, and it just simply does the work for you. 6.5 at minus 120 for Ty Johnson, and then we talked Davis Mills a little bit. I don't mind. It will be a lean within the rushing. And that will be Davis Mills within the rushing. If you want to take the yards, fine. I think the best bet is Davis Mills' longest rush. Okay. The Davis Mills longest rush, I'm pretty confident he will get over the 7.5. But I do think that to get there, and that way you only need one rush. Okay. You only need one. That will be 5.5 at minus 130. Love that bet. Love that bet. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I do have a bet with Fairbarn just for a win. I'm not going to do the 2.5. I think the best way to do it is a half unit on the over 1.5 and a half unit on the over 2.5. But over 1.5 at minus 140. Another bet that I do like, and then a couple leans along the way will be in the receiving game. Okay, it's Christian Kirk. You could take his yardages, 14.5, which I don't like. But it would be basically the Woody Marks over 1.5 receptions. Woody Marks over 1.5 receptions, I do like. And then we would go Xavier Hutchinson in the receiving yards And then also if we can find it. I mean, I like James Cook too, but you can't bet it all. But that's pretty much my leans. It'd be Xavier Hutchinson receiving yards. The Woody Marks receptions, James Cook receptions, and Christian Kirk receptions. I think they're all over 1.5. Okay. So that's pretty much where I'm at, guys. Do you have anything for me before I wrap this up? Feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll kind of open up the floor, but those are the best bets. The official plays: Fairbarn over 1.5 field goals, under 45. Davis Mills over 32.5. Passing attempts: Ty Johnson. I do like the receiving yards better. I think it's a gift. 6.5 at -120. And also Davis Mills longest rush over 5.5 at -130. And those probably will be all put together in a parlay for tonight. And if you do want to play a touchdown, I do favor either James Cook or Josh Allen. I think it's a coin flip who gets in, maybe both, but I can pretty much guarantee one will get in. What's the FanDuel promo? First or last touchdown? Shaver's first touchdown. Not crazy. Yeah, those are fun. Thanks for tuning in, Meals. What's my favorite player prop to pair with the under? I personally would leave the under out of it. But I like all of those. I like all of those props. Like straight up. Those are my favorite props. I like Hutchinson. I like Hutchinson's a lean with his receiving yards. Kirk over 1.5 receptions. Marks over 1.5 receptions. Cook, his receiving yards, reception yards. I like all of these props, but I also like the under. So it's kind of a bad correlation. But like I said, guys, the props, I love it. Davis Mills over his passing attempts. Fairbarn over 1.5 field goals. Ty Johnson receiving yards over 6.5. Davis Mills longest rush 5.5. I mean, those are my favorite props of the day. So hopefully they all cash. I like them all equally. My favorite prop, though, personally, honestly, might be the Davis Mills longest rush or the Davis Mills passing attempts or the Fairbarn field. I mean, I like them all equally. Like they all, like I wouldn't have made them a best bet if I didn't like them all equally. Nothing really stands out more than another one. But also, you know, it's kind of crazy. Like Cornbread just said something over in a Discord about Woody Marks. And this is just kind of like, you know, I'm not saying Woody Marks doesn't score, but okay, so Fluffy Steel is Cornbread. Got it. All right. You know, this is just kind of where I'm at with that. Like Woody Marks is a big public play tonight. Everybody's talking Woody Marks. That's kind of why he's not on my radar as an official bet. I'm kind of fading him from I do like it. Yeah, everything looks good. Rushing yards, receiving attempts, or receiving catches. Touchdown looks good. Rushing, receiving looks decent. I like it, but it's just a very public, steamy kind of everybody's on Woody Marks tonight. Like, so personally, I'm going to stay away from that narrative. I think everything I've heard today, the only consensus word from anybody is Woody Marks. And it's kind of a funny name, but it's kind of catchy. And I think that's why people are gravitating towards it. So I'm going to stay away from it. I could be wrong. Most of the handle, but Fluffy, the thing I was just trying to say with that is, so they all might hit. He might have the game of his life tonight, but you're looking at Woody Marks to score a touchdown at plus 115 when Cook and Allen are essentially the same price. I almost would rather take Cook and Allen each to score a touchdown separately. And if one of them scores, one of them doesn't, and I push essentially, I'd almost feel better. I feel better about that than taking a Woody Marks flyer and he doesn't even sniff an end zone or, something weird happens, because there's a chance that Allen and Cook score tonight. I think the chance of Allen, I guess this is how I'm going to put it. If you ask me my honest opinion, I think the chance of Allen and Cook scoring together is higher than Woody Marks scoring by himself. Just kind of my 2 cents. But hey, Woody Marks to the moon. I hope he scores. I think he does score. But I don't know. It's just something like everybody goes, hey, Mark, who do you like tonight? What do you like tonight? And what do you think about Woody Marks? Like, turn on the radio. Woody Marks this. It's just something. I just don't want nothing to do with Woody Marks tonight. But for that promo for $5, like you put, to win a bigger share of that jackpot entry, I'm not picking anybody at 1-to-1 anyways. So I'm looking down the pipe. Like, I would probably go Dawson Knox over that. I probably would go Christian Kirk over that. I probably would go Ty Johnson actually would probably be a better bet than Woody Marks, because that's not going to be a big jackpot split. I think Ty Johnson, I think if you want to take the whole damn thing, put the $5 on Davis Mills, because if Davis Mills gets a quarterback sneak inside the 5 or inside the 1, I mean, he's a big boy. He gets a quarterback sneak, you're going to take home that whole jackpot. Like, I'm looking for value in that situation, so I just would play it a little differently. You'll get a share of you'll get a big share, but it just, like, I would go for the home run for just a $5 entry. You know what I mean? That's just how I look at it. For $5, I'm just probably in a different side, which everybody's entitled. It's your money. You do what you want. I just try to maximize those promos. So I would be going for the biggest possible pot. And I wish they kind of gave you those numbers, but I'm kind of happy they don't at the same time. Jackson Hawes is kind of a crazy touchdown flyer too. Just being honest, with Knox out or with a Kincaid out. There's a lot of flyers in this game. Like, it would not shock me if it was like 22-19, 23-19 final, something like that. And we had like some just ton of field goals and crazy scoring from random people. But that's it, guys. Appreciate the love, and girls, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to wrap this up. I got some stuff to take care of. Have fun out there. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And for those of you that do watch me religiously, there's a new feature on YouTube called the hype button. A lot of people may not know that. So if you do see a hype button when I have a video, if you can just click it, it's like hitting a thumbs up. You're only allowed to do it so many times. But if you can hit that hype button, it does help me get exposure. Right now, I'm struggling with growing here on YouTube a little bit. It's kind of frustrating. You know, put out a video, get 1,000, 2,000 views, and you know, you go 4-0 and nobody cares. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things that I'm a better first and not a social media person. I'm a social media person second. I don't know if that's a proper term, but you know, I'm trying to build something that's a little bit bigger than just YouTube, and I need you guys to do that. So if you can help me out, share the love, and when we do get to where we're going to, I will do my best to give it all back. So that's kind of where I'm at. And yeah, let's have a day out there, guys. Let's cash some tickets. I'm going to roll now, do some bedtime before kickoff. And yeah, I'll see you guys over on Discord. Enjoy it. Peace.